He's just started his life, he doesn't want to know about past life and
Or too much karma.
so,
$20,000.
$20,000. Then they said, you're under stress, you're not able to think clearly, we will give you a discount, $15,000. Let's do it.
Firstly, it's an honor, Sadhguru, to be sitting here in front of you and being able to have a conversation with you. So, thank you so much for this opportunity, and good evening to one and all here. I have to admit that this is the first time I feel stage fear. I've never been camera conscious, I've never had stage fear, even in school. But I was just hoping that I don't get over mesmerized and just don't forget the things that I have in my…
I'll be looking away.
Yes, please. and the questions that I have in my mind. So, shall we begin?
That's fine.
So, I was told that my topic or what we talk about is mission life today. And when I think of life, the first thing that comes to my mind is that life begins right in the womb of the mother, right? And each one of us takes birth in different kind of families, some poor, some very rich families. And they say that it's your past life that determines that. So what is that? What is your view on past life? And is it possible for every person to kind of get to know what their past was?
Now, it is true that if you… those who have more than one child, would know this if they paid attention. But otherwise, you can go to a hospital, watch 10 children who are just born. You will see these 10 children are not same, they're just born, but they're not same. Each one of them have their own characteristic. Even if two children have come of the same parents, you have a sibling?
Yes, I have a younger
Nothing
brother.
like you.
No, we're poles apart.
So, though same genetics, same home, same food, probably same school many times, but so different. So obviously, from this we can assume there is some other data. Though genetic data is same, atmosphere is same, everything else, all the inputs are same, but there is some other data which is making you so different from your sibling, which is in every home, it is true. Very rare that two siblings are of similar nature. So obviously there is some other information which is making one person so different from the other. See, what makes you very different from another person is essentially what you remember, isn't it? Suppose I wiped out your memory and I wiped out another person's memory totally, both of them would act about similar. Only because you have a memory, it is so different. Now when we say memory, what you know as conscious memory is only a very small part of the memory. Do you remember how your great-great-great-great-great-grandmother looked like? No, her nose is sitting on your face though, isn't it? Your body remembers. This body remembers so much that you cannot even imagine, that much it remembers. So you can say this is just genetic. It is not just genetic. There are 8 forms of memory. These 8 forms of memory, in the yogic way of looking at things, we say this is elemental memory, atomic memory, karmic memory, genetic memory, and articulate memory, inarticulate memory, and conscious and unconscious levels of memory. So 8 forms of memory. You are normally conscious of only an extremely small part of your memory. How your forefathers were 1,000,000 years ago, still even your skin remembers what should be the tone, isn't it? Nothing forgotten. So there is a tremendous amount of memory here. So what you're calling as karma, what you're calling as past life, there is memory. Past life is memory, isn't it? Right now what happened yesterday is only in your memory, it's not hanging anywhere here. So, does life go beyond the birth of this body? Definitely it does, but I don't want you to believe such things. Because the moment you believe such things, you start imagining things. This is gone crazy, particularly in United States. Anybody who says, if they like this person, oh, maybe our past life. 3 days of romance and then they realize there's no future.
Right, right.
So, if you start believing these things, your imagination will fly, it's no good. But if you access these dimensions, then it transforms you in a completely different way. Is it necessary for every human being to access these memories? Not necessary. Because most people cannot handle the memory of this life, they're freaking. Yes?
True that.
10, 20 years of memory, they cannot handle it. If you remind them of 10 lifetimes of memory, what will happen to them? They better not remember. Anyway, a whole lot of things are being done in the… all imported from United States largely, about past life regressions and this and that. These are just psychological processes. With psychological process, if you go to a certain level, essentially you're going into analyzing yourself. With this analysis, you could come to some conclusion, some imagery, whatever. Through psychological processes, you can never, ever break through the barrier of memory which separates you from one life to another. Something deeper than your psychological structure has to be activated for you to know that. Is it possible? Yes, it is possible. But what is the purpose?
Now there are some people on purpose now, it's said, I don't know how much or to what extent it's right, that certain people have patterns in their life, of say failure on work front or be it relationships or just they're lucky with certain things, unlucky, and then they're directed towards a direction that maybe, you've got some thing from your past life hanging on, and that's why they go into regression to kind of clear out those layers and auras is what I've heard. So how much is that true?
See, essentially what you're saying is certain things going wrong in this life means you're in some way incapable of handling this life. Now I will hand you one more lifetime to you, will you handle it properly? No, that's definitely not the reason why you go there. Sometimes for spiritual reasons, to enhance certain dimensions, we do break through those things, but that is not at all needed for most people because their lives will get totally disturbed by this. I'm just saying, for example, it so happened, let's say you're walking on the street and… I'm just making this frivolous, okay? You're walking on the street and you saw a street dog and you remembered, oh, this was my brother in my past life. And you ran after the street dog, but the dog doesn't remember. You know what'll happen. So you should not believe these things. But does it exist? Definitely it exists. So the attitude that you must take is you do not believe these things, but you do not disbelieve these things.
You don't mind.
You clearly understand life is much more than what you think. So there could be any number of possibilities. If you want to explore, if you're interested, I can give you a method how to explore. But just believing something, because somebody says in your past life you were this, you were that, this will only destroy the present life, because you will go from reality to hallucination.
Right. But as long as it's just to get an idea, just for fun, inquisitiveness sake, then it's fine.
No, it can get you into serious trouble.
Right, but then you do agree that there are soul connections, like the souls remain the same around. I mean, that's what I've heard, that people say that your family or your near and dear ones…
Which one are you talking about, the right one or the left one?
The souls?
Yeah.
Well, both. They were together in the past life. So I'm talking about both
So
together.
you already found your soulmate, huh?
Right. I think only in my slippers I found my soulmate. So does that happen? Like they say that your friends or your families or, from your past lives to now, they remain the same, or the souls around you are the same, or maybe in form of your friends.
I would advise people to make new and numerous and new friendships now. Even for lifetimes, if you can't make new friends and the same idiots are going with you every lifetime,
That's really sad.
you must be in a terrible condition.
Yeah.
I know you come from a profession where people used to sing Janam Janam all the time, but not anymore.
No. We just make them believe on screen, trust me.
Not anymore, right?
No, only on screen we
Only
still
in
make them believe.
70s, Janam Janam happened, not anymore.
Even now we dance around the trees and make them believe that that exists, but the reality is quite different. Okay, so karma is something that's always been a very intriguing factor for me, because you say what goes around comes around, and your karma comes right in front of you. Still, I always feel that in a country like ours, there is so much that people get away with, in terms of corruption, in terms of crime, or power takes over. Where does karma come in? Is karma limited to only poor people, and it doesn't apply for the rich or the powerful?
See, this is a very, unfortunately, a simplistic representation. You're suffering, so it's your karma. I think if somebody is suffering, to tell him, it's your karma, so you're suffering, is not some great insight into karmic substance of that person. It's just that you lack humanity. You're going through something painful, I say, oh, it's your karma. This is lack of humanity, not some insight into life or such. Let's understand what is karma. See, the way you understand, the way you perceive, experience, understand anything that comes your way depends on the past memory that you have. For example, what kind of music do you like?
Anything that's soothing to the ears.
Heavy metal?
No. Not at all soothing to the ears.
Okay. So you want some soothing music. So if we play heavy metal music for you, and this music can be only played at full volume, anything less than that it doesn't work. So if we play heavy metal music for you at full volume, you will have a nervous breakdown. But there is some young people there, same sound. In one person's ears, it becomes music. For another person, it's noise. So, how you recognize a particular sound, this is your karma. This is why in this country we told you, when we say karma, we did not say that you need to be punished, you're suffering, you're being punished. This is not the karma aspect. Karma means action. We are performing 4 dimensions of action right now as you sit here. Physical action is happening, mental action is happening, they're saying you're very brainy.
They're putting pressure on me.
Emotional action is happening, energy action is happening. These 4 dimensions of activity, today, from the moment you woke up till this moment, how much of these 4 karmas are you conscious?
I guess the physical karma, because your physical action and the mental action.
To what extent are you conscious? Don't calculate, I'm telling you,
know.
it's well below 1%.
I'm sure.
So, when only 1% of your activity is conscious, your life is accidental, that's what it means. Let's say you drive on the street. You drive for 10 minutes. On the Visakhapatnam streets, they're not Too bad.
They're very good.
Roads are good and traffic is better than most of the places. In this city, you drive for 10 minutes and for only 1% of the time you keep your eyes open, rest of the time you drive with your eyes closed.
It's accident, not accidental.
No, sometimes people are compassionate, they may make way for you. So, it's not accidental, it's an accident, it's going to be a crash.
100%.
Yes. So that is what is happening with life. This is why so much stress, so much fear, because largely it is happening unconsciously. What you're doing, what your body is doing, what your energies are doing, what your thought is doing, emotion is doing, very small speck people are conscious of, rest is unconscious. If you increase the size of what is conscious, suddenly it feels like everything is in your hands. If you can consciously conduct your body in every way, 15 to 20% of your life and destiny will be in your hands. If you can consciously conduct the thought process, 40 to 50%, along with thought, emotion also, if you conduct it consciously, anywhere between 40 to 70% of your life and destiny will be in your hands. If you can conduct your very life energies consciously, 100% of your life and destiny will happen the way you want it. If you become available to a dimension of intelligence within you, which is beyond you, which is… we call it chitta, you can call it grace, you can call it whatever. If you become available to grace, you not only are in charge of your life and your destiny, you can also take charge of the life and destiny of 1 million people around you. This is available to a human being. Will a human being explore these dimensions, or do they want to just eat, sleep, reproduce and die one day? It's up to them. But no matter who you are, what kind of work you do, how much money you have, what you do, you can try to forget it, but mortality is hanging in your face, isn't it? Most people don't get it unless a doctor gives them a terrible diagnosis or they get very old. But isn't it true, as you inhale and exhale, if the next inhalation doesn't come in, you're gone, poof. So fragile this life is. At the same time, it's so sturdy, how many things a man can do? But, woof, it'll be gone. When we are here, we think we are everything. What we don't understand is, as you sit here right now, countless number of people have walked and sat on this planet like you and me. Where are they? All topsoil.
We're mere particles. We're mere particles which will just…
Unless… this will also become topsoil, unless somebody chooses to bury you real deep, fearing you may rise from the dead. You know, there have been instances.
Yeah.
Can I tell you a joke?
Sorry?
Can I tell you a joke?
Yes, please.
This happened. There was a couple in Texas, over 70 years of age. It was their 40th wedding anniversary also. They've been planning, they've been always wanting to go to the Holy Land of the Jerusalem. But being in business, children, this, that, they never made it. Over 70 years of age, now they got the opportunity. Both of them went. They were overwhelmed by the whole situation there, they walked the streets, they walked in the street where Jesus is supposed to have walked. You know, Jerusalem reeks of history. Every stone, every cobblestone reeks of history. Then they went to that place where Jesus is supposed to have walked upon water. They were completely overwhelmed, thoroughly enjoying their trip, but unfortunately, the lady had a heart attack and she died. You know, it happens. Then he was making preparations to take the body back to Texas. Then the local people approached and said, see, this is not a bad thing. Your wife has died in the Holy Land. This is the place to die. So there is no need to go to Texas, and above all, it costs you $18,000 to transport your wife's body to Texas. We will do it here. $18,000 plus local charges there. So for you, a special price because you are from Texas, $20,000, we'll do everything. The man thought about it and said, no, I will take her to Texas. They said, no, 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 you are under stress, you know. Please don't torture the child, whoever. He's just started his life, he doesn't want to know about past life and
Or too much karma.
So,
$20,000.
$20,000. Then they said, you're under stress, you're not able to think clearly, we will give you a discount, $15,000. Let's do it. The man thought about it and said, no, I will take her to Texas. They said, no, 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 you are under duress, you're not able to see things clearly. What is the point? This is the place to die, Jerusalem, this is the Holy Land, she wanted to come here and she died here. This is where it must happen. You are under deep stress, so because of your distress and suffering, we will give you a super discount, $10,000, let's do it. You know, this is Jerusalem, you can bargain.
Yeah.
The man thought about it and he said, no, I'm taking her to Texas. Then they said, why? It doesn't make sense. Why are you doing this? The man said, in Texas, dead stay dead.
In Jersey. Well, he didn't want to risk it.
So, we are sitting here right now. We will fall dead and become part of this earth. Somebody else will be walking over it in no time. It's a brief life. It's a very brief life. Especially if you're joyful, it's a very, very brief life. Have you noticed this on a particular day?
Yeah, happy days just pass.
Happy days just go
this.
like a moment, miserable days take a long time. So only miserable people can have a long life. If you're joyful, before you know what hit you, it gets over. So in this brief life, is it not important that extremely brief life, for the immensity of what a human being can be, this time that's allotted for us is too little. But in that people get bored and they kill themselves.
Very unfortunate.
Without ever exploring the nature of what this life is about, simply because people's physiological and psychological drama has bigger than the existential realities in which we are.
But that's also because Sadhguru, a lot of them are not aware of what the reality is.
That's because they don't know how to act in their life.
No,
They're thinking it's real, you need to tell them.
Right, like you're showing them a path, you know, and
No,
which
you
is a
need
great…
to tell them it's all an act.
Well, unfortunately, somehow I feel the large percentage in our country is still struggling for the basics, you know, which is the food and the shelter and home and clothes. So for them, that is it. That's meeting their ends is tougher.
That is an unfortunate reality. Still, basics like food and shelter have not happened.
Right.
That's a different thing. But believe me, those who are successful are suffering a lot more than those who are not so successful. I'm constantly working with business leaders around the world, and I see most successful people have the longest faces.
I agree. I don't know what makes it so difficult to just put a smile on your face all through the day.
So, if people don't have anything to eat, that's a different situation, we have to fix that, there's no question about that. But people's psychological drama, what you think and feel becomes bigger than the creation.
True.
Because of that, life gets all messed up. After all, it's your thought, you can make it any way you want it. After all, it's your emotion, you can make it any way you want it. But that freedom and that awareness is not there simply because less than 1% of it is conscious. Rest is all in reaction to something else.
So now you said, most of it is we're not conscious about the actions. And coming back to my question where my main point was, what if it's a consciously bad karma that a person does, say a murderer or somebody who commits crimes, or there's so much happening in our country today. Now, where does karma fall in place? Because my question was, in at least our country, it's not like the Middle East where people are highly punished. There's a lot that you can get away with.
Because a lot of times, just the way they're living itself is a punishment. So, we don't think we have to punish them further.
No, but there are quite a lot. I mean, we all know that, there are people who get away with a lot of things, and very unfortunate that it is. But is it somewhere that we are not able to handle things properly in our country and we blame it on karma?